mind stuff itself has 4 divisions as per our view of the so-called mind. There is something called manas, there is something called buddhi, there is something called chittam, there is something called ahankaram. 4 things are there. When I say my internal organ, which processes all the inputs through my eyes, nose, tongue, skin, ears, and which generally gives the command for my external organs, have walk, speak, work, etc. Now, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi very beautifully says, whether you call it mind, whether you call it intellect, whether you call it chitta, I need to tell you what chitta means, and whether you call it ahankara, whatever you say, all the 4 are fundamentally the same. It gets the name when the fundamental agency does a particular function. And example given is, when air goes around in a powerful way, we call it as a cyclone. Here you call it a twister, you see, or you call it a tornado, right? If the air is not going round and round, but is going in one direction with tremendous force, we call it storm, you see. And if the air is gently, beautifully, blowing with a little coolness, you call it breeze. And when the air is still and not too much movement, we call it stuffy. All the 4 are same stuff, you see. And depending on how the movement of the air is, depending on the function that air does, we name it differently. You get this right? This is how we in India define it. So here, manas, by definition in our Sanatana Dharma, is sankalpa vikalpamatmakam manaha. That which constantly thinks, saying, shall I do that? Shall I do this? Is it that? Is it this? Vikalpamna, doubting. Vikalpamna, trying to figure out. Doubt doesn't mean suspicion, all that. I'm trying to figure out. I see something standing straight. Then I say, is it a mic stand? Is it just a normal stand? Is it a barrier? What is it? Mind is acting. You see? When it's trying to figure out something. So it is saying, I shall do this, I shall do that. Maybe I should do that. Why did he say like that? All these things are mind working. Right? Sankalpam, vikalpam. Sankalpam, we all know. Even expecting something, mind does. I have done that. What will happen tomorrow? Mind. Sankalpam also means expectation of a result of something which I have already done or I am doing. So the mind is the same internal organ which is working in figuring out stuff or in doubting something, questioning something. And the buddhi, the closest to the word buddhi is intellect in English. Buddhi means nischayatmakam. It is the one which finally comes to a determination. It determines. Nischayam. Oh, this is that. Idam itham is buddhi. So when I finally look and then I come to a conclusion, oh, that's not a mic stand. It is not a walking stick. It is a small pillar to create a barrier for the Sannadi out here. No, buddhi. Nischayam atmakam. And then there is something called chittam. Chittam serves the purpose of recalling from memory what we already know. It's very important, isn't it? For me to even determine this is just a barrier, I must have seen a barrier or I must have assumed about a barrier before. So I recall my past, I recall my memory, I recall my learning, and then I come to a determination that yes, it is a walking stick. Why? Because I've seen it before. Or I know the characteristics of a walking stick and it is fitting all the characteristics. So it is a walking stick. So that is my buddhi working. How did the buddhi work? Using a thing called chittam. And very roughly put, chitta means, or chittam means, that which is the function of recalling the memory of what I already know. Finally, there is something called ahankaram. Ahankaram means it attaches the sense of identity of me to all these things. I am seeing this. This is mine. It is not mine. Even when somebody says this is hers, basically the first fundamental thought I am thinking, it's not mine. And then the next thought is, then whose is it? Oh, it is hers. This is how we think it seems. First, I thought now. It attaches what I see with the mind and with the eye. For example, Whatever I speak, whatever I think, I'm always connected with it, even though it is about a third person thing. Somebody who is tall is walking down the road. No, I am not involved in that at all. It is, but this observation I do is not like in an open ground I shouted Rama and the word has somehow mixed with the space without creating any ripple at all. So when I see something there is this portion of this internal organ called ahankara, which attaches all my observation to me. Now, unless I know that this is how it works, how can I start working on it? You see, and mind is the one which always gets, the first trigger of influence. You see, I see 5 people wearing one type of shirt, then the mind will say, shall I also wear that? You see, now it's mind working. If we have this capability of buddhi practice sharpened, the buddhi would ask the mind, why should you wear it? Because 5 people wear it, you also need to buy it. Is that a need there? What if 5 people are wearing like that? Yesterday they wore something else. Tomorrow they are going to wear something else. Obviously, when it is so different yesterday, today, tomorrow, it is different between these 5, these 5, these 5. Why should I be like one of that 5? This is how the buddhi works. Then the same internal organ is taking a different function and it is trying to make sure that this mind, which is easily influenced, is having a small check and balance. So there are not 2 agencies there. The same agency is doing both the functions. And since the whole thing is having ahankara or I as this background, I have this function and that function as a witness. And then depending on which capability I go with, my actions, organs of actions, organs of perceptions, they are all guided by that. You see? So the moment organs of actions are guided only by a capability of mind alone, then we have a very volatile life, you see, where I see something, I want to do it, because there is no check and balance there. Even though the facility is there, I am not turning to that chapter. Imagine these 4 chapters of book, and I am reading only 1 chapter. I am completely neglecting another chapter. I am not getting the full picture. I need to get the full picture now before I can act.
And let's count our blessings and make every blessing count. Have a great day.